Hello, I'm out here. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon, going for a little fat tire bike, heading to the epic and famed Coulee Mountain. As you can see, it's a beautiful winter afternoon, January 2nd, 2016. Decided to head up to Coulee Mountain, the one mountain we have around here anyways, to check it out, see how long it takes me. I'm about 3 miles out from our cabin, and I'm about halfway right now. 3 miles to go. Talk to you later. I'm now traveling along the famed Burnt Wood River, heading out towards my final destination, or my return destination of Coulee Mountain. As you can see, the sun's going down. It's around -5 to -10 Celsius on a beautiful January day. I'm trying to reclaim the old highways here with the help of some new technology. The fat tire bike. As we come around the corner, we shall see my lobstick, a Piskok Tanaskaigan. It's a Cree word for the trail markers that have been used for thousands of years. That's mine. You can see that for miles out on the delta. We've just passed onto the open badlands up here, northern badlands that extend all the way to the Arctic Sea. Nothing straight north, no signs of society until you hit Russia. This is a beautiful little point peninsula. I like coming out here in the winter time. It's very difficult to get out here in the summertime because we cross so much frozen swampland and rivers. My final destination is down this ridge of trees. About 2 miles of this ridge before I hit Coulee Mountain. Coulee Mountain is somewhere down there in the distance. I'll check in with you then. Here we are at the famed Coulee Mountain, which got its name from the champion race dog Coulee. When he passed away, we buried him up on this mountain. I've came about 2 miles across this ridge of land, and I'm now attempting to ride up Coulee Mountain for the first time in history. So I will be a world record holder from now on. The Coulee Mountain Rider.
We are at Coulee Mountain. Riel is trying to scale this cool mountain. Anyway, he's come up here with there he comes. He's really good. He's slipping and sliding. Come on, you go! Come on, you go! You go! You go! Telling you, I'm having a hard time keeping up with him. He's done the first step. Now he's coming to the next. He's made history. There's the other part of the film crew. We are now shot.
How's that hill?
Good.
You can put it on.
It's still on, isn't it?
Yeah.
You recording?
Stop it. Done the first step. Now he's coming to the next. He's made history.
I made it to the top of Coulee Mountain. This is a very beautiful part of our little territory. I'm now going down our famed Coulee Mountain. When I get to the other side here of Coulee Mountain, you get to see a beautiful part of our land where I grew up. Very few people get to travel to this part of the country. So we see this beautiful part of the land. And we're now heading north towards the Mossy River. Coulee Mountain is where my dad and my sister would come and train our racing dogs. They would come up and down this hill in preparation for heading towards the marathon dog races in the north. Yukon Quest. So this is the one little spot where there's a somewhat of a hill. It's very picturesque through this countryside. And I can remember a long time ago, I came here with my Uncle Roger. We came trapping up here this way. And we came up here, and I remember he set a trap at the top of this mountain. There's a lot of trail. There always is a lot of trail up here on Coulee Mountain. He set a trap at the top. And my Uncle Roger had these beautiful traps, these little wooden boxes. See, he liked to trap in these little areas. He'd find a little trail, and he would set it up. So that was many moons ago. Here we are again on the other side of Coulee Mountain, 6 miles away from Big Eddy Camp. I'm heading back on my little trip. It's a little quick training route. Average speed about 8.5 miles per hour. Many times I would come out here as a kid on the back of a snow machine, maybe on a dog sled. I used to think this was the end of the earth. You come out to this open territory. Whenever I was feeling homesick, I'd imagine coming out here, breathing in the air, looking at the trees, trying to catch a glimpse of a moose or a wolf or any kind of sign of life. There's a forest fire came through here. Quite a few years ago now. Now I get to travel here with this new method with the fat tire bike. You can cruise along at a pretty good speed with a good trail. And I remember that one year my Uncle Roger was out here. He liked to drive along this and look, this ridge of trees here. He'd like to drive along here and put traps in this area. And I even remember one time me and my cousin Glenn McKenzie, we were trapping. I went with him. We were driving along this area, and I bet somewhere along here we seen a big timber wolf. My cousin thought it'd be a good idea to go chase it, so he gunned it on his machine and we caught up to it. It didn't look very healthy. We caught up to it, and we didn't have any sort of gun or trap. We just were driving up to take a look at it. And my cousin, he went real close, and that timber wolf, instead of running away, all of a sudden it changed directions and turned right towards us and kind of jumped at us, surprised us, almost bit me and pulled me off. So my cousin kind of said, looked at me and said, got a little too close. He started laughing, and then we drove off. We're headed back home. So those are some of the stories that you get to experience when you're out here on the land. In the past few years, this area would have been filled with water because of the flood. So a lot of the animals, the smaller creatures, disappeared from this area. There's not as many tracks as there used to be. But this year we're starting to see a rebound. You can see little muskrat houses out here. They make their winter homes on this watery area. A beautiful land. And like I said, this is the area I used to think was the end of the earth. We'd come driving along here, minus 40, and I'd look over towards where the sun is setting, and I would think, I wonder who lives way over there. Wonder if there's anybody that lives that far north, somewhere on the tundra. Probably there's a Dene driving his dogs up there. Here's my lobstick. My dad made this trail marker for me because I used to like coming here. So this is a little marker where the trail was. So if you got lost in a snowstorm or turned around, you could find that tree and you knew you were heading back towards the Burntwood. Of course, the only people that know about this place is us, so you'd never get lost out here, but still a good little marker. I'm now on the Burntwood River. There's been a good trapping ground, hunting grounds, this little river. Not a lot of people get to see this area. I used to come here with my dad or my late cousin Randy. We used to come driving down here. And boy, it was cold. Minus 40. We'd stop. We used to get scared of this river because there was always slush. Right now there's nothing here. It's frozen pretty solid. But what would happen in the winter time is this snow would get so heavy on this little river it would actually break the ice. Just a little crack. Enough that water would seep through and it wouldn't freeze. It would just, the snow would insulate the water. So we'd be driving down this river and sure enough we'd hit a big pocket of slush. You couldn't see it. To the naked eye it looked like the river was frozen, but there'd be a little pocket of slush and you'd kind of have to gun it, but or at least that's what your reaction is when you hit slush, to kind of give her. But with the wet snow it would actually kind of slow you down. Of course you hated getting stuck in the slush. Everybody that's traveled in the north knows about that. To stop and unpack your sleigh and make a trail, and in this little meadow, many a times this used to be where me and my sisters would come and get our Christmas trees. When we were little, our Christmas trees here, we drive out here and come chop our tree down. In this little meadow here, many a times any guests of ours would drive their machine through here, and many people have hit trees in this little meadow, this little bluff of trees. My friend Munaf, he hit a tree right about right here. Mariah Moore, she hit a tree. I think I hit a tree here once. Just always seemed like the snow is very soft here. So you'd be driving along and your snow machine would just fall off the trail if you weren't careful. This little lake here, not far from our cabins. I remember coming here with my dad, and there used to be some wild rice here, and he'd get it using some sticks over the canoe. Old style. We used to paddle out here in the fall. It took a long time to get out to this lake in the fall. You have to portage and drag your canoe. I used to wonder why the heck are we coming out here? But as a kid, of course, at least I didn't appreciate it. But you learn as you grow older, you learn to appreciate the finer details of life. You get to learn to appreciate the sunset, to anyone else this is just, it would seem mundane to come here. The connection that you learn with the land, and there's a beauty in just being out here and being alone. But also having a connection. You paddle or you walk here or now bike. And I think of all the times that I've been out here before. And the beauty of it, you can't really control what you remember. So sometimes I see a little stick and a memory is recalled. Or sometimes I see a little bluff of trees and I think of that time that I came out here and I made a trail for my dad, and he thought I was making a trail that the dog sleds would never be able to go through. But then when he came through there, he said it was a nice straight trail. So here you see the little muskrat push-ups. The first sign of them. Muskrats in the past, they were flooded out in 2005. They just disappeared, but now we see signs again. Right here, another muskrat push-up, which is beautiful to see. The nature of the land recovers. And I think that's why we gotta respect more of our people need to respect this. You only take what you need, which is a Cree economic principle, and more of our people need to respect that. Because the animals here are struggling. So I don't think there's a need to hunt everything to extinction. You can enjoy it so the future generations can come out here. Oh, you see a little coyote. Must have came sniffing there. Sniffing for a little meal of muskrat. So they're coming through a little bluff of trees. This is where my sister Martina, this is where she came camping when she was a young girl. Started our little family tradition, which had been going on for generations, but we revitalized it. So when I was 13, I went camping alone, and same thing with my sister Michaela. But of course my sister Martina had to beat us. She came camping way out here, and her birthday's in November, and it was cold that year. And of course she came out here when she was either 11 or 12, so she went younger than us, so she even beat us. That's the benefit of being the youngest. You can set the records easy. This is where she camped, right here. This little spot. And I hope I plan to pass on that tradition to my children when they're old enough. Those are the Cree rites of passage. You have to learn. You have to live off the land. So right now we're seeing a beautiful winter night sky. It's the kind of sky that you can only see out in Saskatchewan. When I lived in BC, I used to get frustrated with the mountains. I said to my friends, the mountains, they block the view. You can't see, you can't see past them. Of course they would say, well, that is the view. The mountains are the view. But I grew up seeing this, and I prefer to look at the open plains. I prefer to see the horizon and watch the sun dip over the horizon. And these little trails I've seen hundreds of times. I've passed through here. And I like passing through this little section here. For some reason the smells of this giant reed grass mixing with the diamond willow, this little section of the trail always smells really, it's quite enjoyable. I don't know if a smell can be beautiful, but it just mixes this. It's intoxicating. And sometimes my dad has a trapping trail that goes out this way. It goes around that way to the south. But this is the normal trail here that we leave in the winter time, heading north towards Suggy Lake. Of course now I'm heading south. And this is Ben's Lake right here we're coming to. It's out back behind our cabin. You don't often look at this little spot because we drive through here. Our trap line is very long. So I don't remember having ever trapped this little section too much. I do remember having a little trap here sometimes, right at the edge of the lake. Of course, now the lake, it fluctuates quite a bit. I remember there was a time when this lake was pretty much dry and you could just walk across it. Of course, all this land was filled in with water again after the last flood, the last few floods. So now it's quite a, you can see it's flat, it's a lake. The trails of the animals here. This is where we used to come when I was a kid. Some of my first memories of duck hunting. We'd come out here, drag a canoe through this bluff of trees. I'd have my grandpa gave me a 410, the smallest gauge of shotgun. And I'd come out here with my dad and we'd set up the decoys here and shoot some ducks. Some of my earliest memories here. We'd come out here in the fall and we'd go moose hunting around this lake. One of the things we would do is we'd paddle around this lake and the ducks would be eating this grass, or it was quite fun to paddle around this lake. Didn't take long, but we'd usually get quite a few ducks. We'd wait till they'd fly away. And then every few years my dad will come, and this is where we get grass for the dogs. I remember coming out here and cutting this grass. There's just some really good grass that we like to cut for the dogs, give them a little bed. And my dad would even burn this grass in the spring. He used to burn it to rejuvenate the land. And I remember this lake being full of muskrats when I was a young kid. And I quite enjoyed it, coming out here and checking the traps. I'd watch my dad or my grandpa, my uncle Roger, my cousin Randy and Glenn. Those are the people I came trapping with them out here. I even think I came out here one time with my cousin Ruppus. He came out here once when he was young. My auntie Mary Louise was there. She was skinning. That was the last time they went at it. I don't know if my grandpa was alive, but my granny was there, and we lived in our one little cabin. Of course, you do your muskrat trapping in the spring. I remember the cabin being full of muskrats, hundreds of them, and that was, there would still be enough for the next year. There was so many of them. We'd eat them. You could sell the fur and eat the meat, and that was a big delicacy, the muskrat. And every one of these lakes would have thousands of muskrats. This whole area was known for the muskrat trapping. The history books. That's this land. Without this land, there'd be no Canada. The fur trade. This was the very center of the fur trade, this area. And if you look at the old records, this area was the most abundant with fur. This is why they came. This is why they founded Cumberland House. This area was just full of animals. It was the perfect area. And now only a few people keep on the tradition. And soon maybe there'll be none, or it'll just be a hobby. I plan to pass on that knowledge to my children. To keep the skills alive, the knowledge. It's about knowing their land. I see trapping as not just ways to make a living or an economic means of production. I see it as